Good afternoon. I think we're at right at 4:15 or 16:15, however you want to. I'll take a roll call. State your name and obviously that you're here. We'll start with you, Tony.
All right, well, good afternoon, everyone. Tony Majors,
Present.
present.
Mary Mack, present.
Charles Davis, present.
Ralph Taylor, present.
Sister Paula Rose, present.
Mike Suford, present.
I show that we have a quorum. Next thing on the agenda is to vote to approve or disapprove the February 13th, 2023 meeting minutes. Do I have a motion to vote to approve?
I'll make that motion.
I second that motion to approve.
By vote, starting with you, Tony.
In favor, I vote approve.
Aye.
Charles Davis, aye.
Ralph Taylor, aye.
Sister Paula Rose, aye.
Mike Suford, aye.
Motion carries. Minutes are approved for the February 13th, 23 visit, minutes. Do I have a motion to open the meeting to the public agencies?
I move to open the public hearing for the social service agencies.
I second the motion.
By vote, starting with you, Tony.
Is this where I would, I vote aye, but I'll have to recuse myself from the discussions for this portion of the meeting.
Acknowledge.
For conflict of interest.
Aye.
Charles Davis, aye.
Ralph Taylor, aye.
Sister Paula Rose, aye.
Mike Suford, aye.
The meeting is open. I'll toss it off to you.
I just wanted to clarify, and I apologize, I didn't want to interrupt you. This is not actually a public hearing for this session. Just to clarify that. So the public service agencies will now take turns, and they'll go in this order. And they'll start with CASA, then Catholic Charities of Northeast Kansas, Leavenworth Interfaith Community of Hope, then the Guidance Center, then Alliance Against Family Violence, and St. Vincent Clinic. Each of these agencies are all agencies that you all have seen their application. You've had an opportunity to score their sheets, in which after they're finished giving a little bit more information that they want to share with you beyond their application, you'll have an opportunity to ask them questions if you have any, and then we'll move on to the next public service agency and just go down the line. And then after that is completed, we'll turn this over into a work session where you all will be able to discuss amongst yourselves possible funding, and I'll explain some information on an aggregate sheet that I provided for you. So if everybody is ready, Kelly, would you like to go first?
Absolutely.
And we are asking that the public service agencies keep it at about approximately no more than 2 minutes, if you could please, just to provide some extra information, and then afterwards let them ask you questions.
My name is Kelly Meyer. I'm the Executive Director for the First Judicial District CASA Association. Most of everyone in the community just refers to us as CASA. I want to first say thank you and make sure that everyone is aware we are very grateful for all the support we've received in the past from our CDBG funding. It's definitely been able to keep us in our location just right across the street, and we have a great location for the community to access our services and all the clients to be able to get to the services that they need right here in downtown Leavenworth. We have a mission at CASA that is to protect children today for stronger families tomorrow. We have 3 different programs that we operate. All of our programs are child-specific to children who have either been victims of crime, victims of child abuse, or they are in the middle of a custody battle or some type of situation that doesn't allow them to have unsupervised contact with a parent or guardian, or not a guardian, a parent or someone that plays a role as that in their lives. And so with our services, we make sure that children have advocacy in the court. We make sure that they have ongoing advocacy if they have been a victim to crime and they have had an interview in our center, and then are going through the criminal process or just the healing process that comes after a child has been a victim to crime. And then ongoing services if children are receiving supervised visitation or monitored exchanges through our center. We also offer 3 different types of parenting classes, and those range from parents who are going through a divorce separation situation, or parents that, we have a class that's for parents of children who are teenagers and are having struggles as a teenager, which I think really every teenager struggles, so all parents could benefit from something like that. And then also a parenting class for younger children, or for parents of younger children. We served 319 children last calendar year, and hundreds of parents in addition to those 319 children. And I'm probably way over my 2 minutes by now, so I'm really, really trying. And our request this year was for $15,620. We are right across the street on the corner of 5th and Shawnee, just catty corner from here, and I would invite all of you, if you've not seen our center, to please let me know. I'd love to give you a tour and show you around. Our staff always likes to tell you about all the things that we're doing and what we do in this space over there, so you're more than welcome anytime. Questions?
I had a question. Not a question, but I often wondered, where do these children go to regular schools, or are they homeschooled, or how are they protected when they're not, I just didn't know where they get schooled.
The majority of the children that we serve are in public education. Not very many of the children that we're providing services to would be homeschooled children. A lot of them are, depending on the program that we're seeing them in. If it's a child that we are providing advocacy to in our CASA program, those children usually are in a foster care situation. Children that we provide forensic interviews to, so those are 96% of the children that we see in that program are victims of sexual abuse. The rest of the children that we see are usually witness to homicide, like serious cases of abuse. And those children are typically with a custodial parent, so it's a non-offending caregiver, and that could be like mom or dad, or it could be a grandparent or someone who's been entrusted with that child. And usually in those cases also those children are in public education or receiving public education. And in our Child Exchange and Visitation Center, we primarily see children that are also public education.
Thanks.
Does that answer the
It does,
question? Okay.
yeah, it does.
So I have a question, and it's going to be asked of everybody, so for those that are waiting to speak, you get a little bit of heads up, but not necessarily you. A good news story, obviously not naming names, but maybe a small snippet of, you got a call on a Friday night at whatever time, and oh my goodness, by, the next week you had the children in, and then, we were able to get the visitation or whatever was done. I'd like to hear a little bit more about that, because I personally see all the statistics, but I'm visual, and I like to hear about audio, I guess. Hear about, a good news or something, not a feel good, but a good news story coming out of your agency, yeah.
Absolutely. So, depending on which program, depends on what's going to feel good, and I'll just say what might feel good for us and a success story for us. Some people may look and think, boy, your bar is pretty low. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just that, something I like to tell people is prosecution doesn't mean that you've won. We see many, many children in our Child Advocacy Center and their non-offending caregivers that someone getting prosecuted or charged with a crime is not going to make a difference in their healing. What's going to make a difference in their healing is whether or not they feel like they have been heard, which is what we provide. It's making a difference of whether or not they're receiving access to medical services if they've been subject to an STD. It's making sure that they have access to a mental health provider if they are wanting to commit suicide because of what's happened to them in their lives. And so I can share, we served a child at one point in time that had been through some pretty heinous things. We do see probably like the worst of humanity, because someone who can hurt a child is just vile. And so I will say that when we have had a child that has been able to come in and they have been strong enough to tell their story, to answer questions, to say things that are hard enough for most adults to say to another person in a room, and they're able to do so knowing that there are, I'm gonna cry, there are law enforcement and DCF workers and other professionals in a room adjacent to them watching them on a television. They know that when they're talking to our interviewers. We're not hiding anything from them, we're sharing with them exactly what is happening.
Sure.
And when we all know that there is a certain level of fear, discomfort, and embarrassment that a victim has, and when you add to it that you have a victim that's maybe 11 years old and they've been being sexually abused by a parent for half of their life and probably their entire memorable life, the day that they are able to tell that story and then feel like they have been heard, that is what sticks with me. And we have, I mean, I can think of one. I'm thinking of one in particular right now. But the reality is we have hundreds that have been able to do that. And when they do that, regardless of the outcome, the feeling that they have of empowerment, that is what is most important. That they feel like that someone listens, that someone cares, that they have the ability to tell somebody that that they are not scared any longer and that they will be okay. And for, I mean, it does happen to boys too, but for hundreds of young women, young ladies, little girls, that has happened across the street, and that is powerful.
Good.
And I didn't cry.
Challenge accepted? No, I thank you for taking that time to, you really did humanize the, I don't even know the word I'm thinking of, the direction you're trying to, go in with your agency, and I appreciate that. It really was really heartfelt, and I appreciate that. Like I said, the other folks have some homework to do there on their way up to the podium, but I appreciate it on behalf of everybody.
I just have a question with your 63, I guess, member staff you have on board right now as of January 2023. Is that enough staff?
No.
Okay, that's.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt you, but
No, you're quite all right. So what do you think it would take in order for you to get up to par with the staff that you have now?
We're taking volunteers,
Yeah,
right?
volunteers.
Yeah, volunteer, yeah.
Double that, and we would maybe be able to meet the need, maybe. It's significant. We serve about 25% of the child in need of care cases in Leavenworth County, and that is because we do not have the manpower to operate and provide services for the remaining 75% of the cases that are filed. We do not have a waiting list for our visitation and exchange center, so in that right, we are providing services to everyone who has been assigned to us. But it would be great if we could offer them more time, which we can't do without more volunteers. In our Child Advocacy Center, we have never refused service and turned down a client because we didn't have the capacity. So we do provide services for every child that's referred for a forensic interview, and then maintain services for them after the interview is completed for them to have advocacy. But for our namesake program, for our CASA program, where we are recruiting volunteers to train those volunteers and then put them in the community working with those kids, those are hard volunteer positions, and not everybody's cut out for it. But anybody could do it that wants to do it and help a child, and we are always in need of volunteers, so anybody who's interested in volunteering, come our way. Yes.
So, and when you're talking about your volunteers, I know they have an extensive training program that they have to go through before they can take on any cases. Is that true? I mean, how does that work?
Yes, we have a 35-hour training program prior to pre-service training. And so our volunteers go through, it's multiple weeks, evenings, and I don't think we're doing weekend trainings right now, but it's during the week and it's evening. We try to be really accommodating to individual schedules so that everybody has the opportunity to volunteer. Our trainer will even do like a one-on-one, or she'll do virtual training if she can with individuals who are interested. But it is extensive. We go through just basically every part of child welfare, child development, different things that advocates will need to know as they're working with children and families, because the system is so vast and the things that we're asking them to do are very similar to things that social workers do. Maintaining contact with a child, advocating for that child's best interest, knowing the child well enough to know what's that child's best interest. Understanding the role that we have in the court system, understanding the court system, going to court, all of those things, and that's just a snippet of those things. They're vast, and it's important that the advocate, at least at some level, understands all of them before they're out into the field working with that child and the family.
So what that volunteer does, or their recommendation weighs heavily on what the judge decides?
So we are considered the eyes and ears of the judge. We are able to go into the community and work with that child one-on-one and know like I said, know the child well enough to know what is in that child's best interest. And so when the judge appoints a CASA, typically we're assigned to the more difficult cases, or the ones where the judge thinks maybe, I just am not able to get as much information as I would like to get on this case. And that was the entire premise for CASA starting back in the 70s in Seattle, Washington. A judge had a huge docket where he was seeing 200 cases a day, and he was like, I have no idea what's actually happening in these children's lives. And so the idea of CASA was born to recruit and train individuals, normal everyday folks, that could go into these children's lives and come back and tell the judge, what does it really look like in their house? What does visitation look like with the parent? Is the parent actually making an effort? Is a child missing, a part of their life? Are they seeing siblings? Are they feeling like, their needs are being met? Is their biggest complaint they don't have a pair of sneakers? That's usually not their biggest complaint. But, what is their complaints and how do they feel? And having that normalcy of a person to talk to, because, the judge is intimidating and they wear funny clothes, the robes, and, they sit up on a bench. So children talking to a judge can be very difficult, but they can talk to their CASA, and that's their person, and they have their person for their life of their case. So when the judge is able to have that individual on a case to be able to go and get all of that information and talk to everybody involved, it makes a huge difference. It changes outcomes on cases. We have a very low recidivism rate for the cases that we are appointed to, and that's because the judge knows everything.
This is probably out the ordinary, but I do have to give you a standing ovation. I'm serious. I'm serious. Yes, I really. And I speak on behalf of, I appreciate you, yes.
And I appreciate that. On behalf of our volunteers and our staff, certainly I am just a very small portion of what we do, but we have amazing individuals in our program that give of time and effort to make sure that children are safe. And I say you judge your people by the way we treat our children, and we have some amazing people who treat children very well. So I'm blessed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very
Go ahead,
much.
sir.
No, you're good. Thank you.
Thank you, Kelly. Y'all ready, Jackie and Tom?
It's hard to follow a standing ovation.
Right.
Good afternoon, I'm Jackie Mason, and I'm the manager of Catholic Charities here in Leavenworth. Thank you for your support of us in the past, and this is a huge gift for Catholic Charities. Our request this year is for $7,800. Remember last year I said it was 78,000 accidentally. Yeah. Some of what Catholic Charities does, we have different funding sources. So we do provide the ESG, the Emergency Solutions Grants, which is taking people from homelessness and getting them rehoused or helping them to remain in their housing. We've also got the balance of state funds that come to us. And again, we use those funds the same way to keep people housed or to rehouse them, okay? We have direct financial assistance that deals with rent and utilities to help people that are in a financial situation or crisis to maintain their housing. With the direct financial assistance, we provide case management, stability and strengthening, and budgeting with that, okay? Also, we have a clothing closet that people come in and access. We have household items that people can access. We do Thanksgiving assistance. We also help people fill out food stamp applications. other applications. I'll just say that I've actually helped a couple of people to get Social Security. We have an emergency food pantry. Ours is client choice. People come in, they pick out the foods that they want to pick, okay? Last year in our food pantry, we averaged about 881 individuals a month. Total, we served over 10,000 people through our food pantry. So far this fiscal year, where our food pantry numbers have increased, we're up about 32%. For senior citizens, we have our commodity supplemental food program. We still have, during COVID, we had set up home delivery for a lot of those folks. We have continued that service in that we still have homebound seniors, and so we still deliver those food to our homebound seniors. Some additional programs that we offer the Kansas Loan Pool program. If someone's got a predatory loan, payday title loan, they can call our office and we can see if we can help them get that refinanced and work with them as far as getting that paid off. We've also got our family financial transformation. That's teaching better financial skills and budgeting skills. We have actually put a person in the office that splits their time on this between us and Atchison. So we actually have a person in our office, housed in our office at this point for that service. Also, we have a person that we're referring to as a workforce person that's been helping people, that is also a new position, that is helping people to get jobs, okay? And he was telling me the other day he got 2 of them. It was like, wow, that's pretty awesome. Last fiscal year, we had 3,433 individuals that were unduplicated in our office. So we do have repeat customers that come in, sometimes monthly for food, okay? Every month, I have close to 40 volunteers that come in to volunteer at Catholic Charities. Last year, I had over 8,200 volunteer hours from these people, okay? 3 full-time or 3 full-time employees, like I said, that are employed there. In addition, I've got the 3 part-time employees that are also housed in my office. Basically, at this point, we're utilizing all the resources we can in the community to get back to the community and supporting the community in every way that we can. I was sitting there and when you threw out, we have hope stories that we submit every once in a while. We have an awesome story that comes through and I'm thinking, okay, I wonder if they want a direct financial assistance hope story or a food pantry hope story or clothing closet hope story. I wonder what kind of hope story you want. I think what I'm going to do, because I just recently went through it was a CPR class. And so we've been kind of focusing on health stuff. And we had a woman that came through our food pantry and the volunteer was like, you know what, you seem a little off to me today. Are you okay? And the woman's like, yeah, I'm fine. I don't think so. So she set her down. And she's like, why don't you pull up your daughter's phone number? And so she called the daughter, and she's like, your mom just seems a little off. She's here at the food pantry. I'm kind of concerned. Okay, she says she's okay, but something's not good here. The daughter came and got her and took her to the hospital. The doctor said, her blood sugar was so high that outcome could have been really, really, really bad. Okay, but the volunteer had worked with her before and was able to recognize that something was off. And about a week ago, she ran into the woman at the store, and the woman's like, you literally saved my life. And she's like, well, I don't know about that, but I'm glad you're feeling better.
Nice.
But like I said, just the idea that a volunteer pays that much attention to people that's coming through, that was able to recognize something just is kind of not good here. and take the steps that she did, so.
You didn't tell us you had heroes working with you. Let me go. Thank you. That's an amazing story. I appreciate it very, very
One
much.
of the reasons we always bring up the volunteer numbers and hours is because we feel like that's part of our service too, is to give people in whatever community we're in, the opportunity to be a hero, to be a
Right.
part of what we're doing. And obviously CASA's like that too,
Yeah.
but yeah, we're just very volunteer intensive, and we feel like sometimes the success stories are how the volunteers feel and what it does for their lives sometimes as much as other people's. So, I just wanted to add two quick things, she does a great job, there's lots I would love to tell you about all those programs, but our 2 minutes is way gone, so sorry. When she said the 32% up on food this year, that's in the 6 months between July 1st and Christmas.
Right.
As compared to last year.
Yep.
And everybody understands what inflation at the grocery store is like right now. And so it's driven that. But the other part of it is that same inflation is making it harder for people to give the food drives, and there's sort of less food available
Yeah.
and more need for it.
Right.
And at the same time, I manage, I'm the administrator for the Emergency Food and Shelter Program grants through FEMA for Leavenworth County. And last year, there was a little over $74,000 available for the agencies here. This year, it's less than 16,000. And many of them, and Miranda's lots of organizations have depended on some of that, and this year it will be much less. And so this amount, or whatever you can do, is so helpful this year, maybe more than ever before. So I just wanted to add a couple of things about just sort of the macro situation happening there. So, thank you.
Excuse me, do you have a screening process for volunteers, or?
Yes,
How does that?
we do a background check.
Okay.
And our volunteers, within a month of coming on, have to also be Virtus trained. So am I saying that right? Virtus trained?
It's a
Through the Catholic Church.
right.
Rock Chalk, and I've been through that before.
Yeah, so that we can ensure that all volunteers know exactly what to look for as far as trauma and abuse, and
Okay.
make sure that nothing like that happens.
Oh, thank you.
We absolutely appreciate your input. Thank you.
I had one little question. I just noticed that a lot of the services that you do also come out of Welcome Central and the Community of Hope. And I just wondered, do you work closely with them so that you're not duplicating services, or how does that work?
We do, okay, we work very closely with the Welcome Central. So, I think ours is a little bit more of the financial assistance. I know that they make referrals to us, okay? And we make referrals to them too, because if I've got somebody that's homeless, I'm sending them down there for those referrals.
I say, can I step up at this second?
Sure.
Because I talk too much, that's why, but, I'll tell you, in working together both with EFSP, so that's what, he was the Emergency Food and Service, that's not right, whatever that program is. And then Jackie and I also sit on the Kansas Homeless Coalition Board. One thing we determined at our last EFSP meeting last year was just that, really working as a group. Many of us are in multiple groups together, is really working on not duplicating services, especially in a community where resources are very limited, grants are very limited. And so what we kind of determined this last year was letting Catholic Charities take the bulk of the rental assistance in that grant, letting us take the emergency shelter, since we're the one in the region that has the emergency shelter, and even tapping into Salvation Army to give them the bigger bulk of utility assistance, so that people also aren't traveling from wasting time traveling from organization to organization. So I feel like we talk to Jackie weekly. I'm actually, in the EFSP board with them as well, but that is a way to not duplicate as many of the services.
So we know who's got what, can send them to the right place.
And there are times where Jackie is full because she does the rental assistance piece and has a lot more of the grants, or we don't have most of the grants. Where she's so full with rental assistance and housing that we need to take on more of the bulk of food stamps or those kind of applications, and so we communicate actively with that. So sorry to
Thanks.
jump up, but
That's good.
It's all right. You bailed her out.
And what a prime example of
Yes.
everybody in the wraparound services working
Exactly, yeah,
together.
they work,
Yeah,
that's great. Yeah, you work.
should've just stayed up there.
Yeah.
was I in the next order?
You are.
Perfect lead in. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Miranda Agnew. I am the Community of Hope Executive Director, and work with all of these wonderful individuals. So I know I'm echoing what everybody else has said, but thank you for having us in this very needed item for each one of us. So we are requesting $13,000 for utility assistance. We have a paid-for building, which is amazing, and so we are requesting the $13,000 for utility assistance. Just a quick overview, a few things about us. Our main program is our day and night shelter, which you know, we serve 210 unique individuals in that program this past year. That is high for us. We usually serve less than that, so there was an uptick. Something also unique that we're seeing is a much younger population. So not just younger in adult life, but we served 27 kids under the age of 18. One of those was a high school student going to Leavenworth High School. 20 of those individuals were under the age of 9. That is very unique to us. That is by far the youngest population, numbers-wise, we've served, as well as number of days. Some of our sweet babies that were 3 and 4 years old, we had for months in the shelter. We are not set up in individual rooms, so that I always say when we have a newborn in the building, everyone on the staff side is really excited because we get to pass the baby all day. But then everybody wakes up in the morning, like all 20 some individuals have newborns, because once a baby cries in the middle of the night, everybody's awake. So we have seen an influx in young kiddos, leading us to really dive in and try to figure out who we are and how we can support that in our community if that trend continues. We also serve free lunch to the entire community. This is an unfunded grant program, or non-grant funded program, so that we can serve anybody with food insecurity. So we don't take IDs. We love our food pantries and all that they do, but there is some that can't provide the ID or need it more than 1 month or something like that. So we do provide free hot lunch to anybody that shows up with food insecurity. Kudos to our staff, because some days it's 20 and some days it's 100. And so we don't have a commercial kitchen, so how do you feed that many? And I say it's often like the story of the fish and the loaves of bread, and it works, and we are able to provide food. We provided over 17,000 meals last year, which was way more than we have served any other year. But it's just like they're saying with the food pantries, food insecurity is really hard right now with inflation. We do serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner at our facility, but to the community, it's just lunch. So our unhoused individuals get breakfast and dinner as well, both exiting a night shelter or coming into our day center. And then before our night shelter, we figure if their bellies are full, they're not going to sleep well. So we do serve dinner every night to that population. Currently, we also run free transportation. We'll see, as the city has a transportation program starting, we're very excited about. But currently, we provide free transportation. We provided just under 1,000 rides last year, over 13,000 miles, and we have volunteer drivers for those programs. Mr. Majors is one of those. So we serve 210 unique individuals in our shelter, our day and night shelter, but we also have Welcome Central, as you were speaking of, and we served over 300 clients in that program. Everything, any kind of case management that is needed. So IDs, birth certificates so they can get jobs, applications, a lot of just helping individuals manage and know kind of a next step. We do have 2 full-time staff members, so myself and one other of our directors are full-time. The rest, we have 9 part-time, anywhere from 2 hours a week to 20 hours a week, so kind of a minimal staff. And then something we're very proud of as we try to remove roadblocks, we get to work with all these amazing individuals. But through the Guidance Center, through the Mental Health Task Force and the Guidance Center, we were able to add an on-site case manager from the Guidance Center, so a Guidance Center employee that now serves at our building 5 days a week for on-site case management, which was a huge win, and huge kudos to the Guidance Center. We also have an on-site substance abuse case manager, so somebody that comes on-site once a week and provides substance support. And then haircuts, because that's very important. We have on-site haircuts, and then we also have kind of a unique situation with an employee that left on good terms. I don't want to give that disclaimer. The St. Vincent's to plant her own nonprofit, Care Beyond the Boulevard. She comes once a month to provide free medical care. And what is nice about that is St. Vincent's brings over a lot of the times their patient advocate so that they can get signed up for further services at St. Vincent. So again, it's kind of a bridge program to bring that kind of for the immediate care and then get them signed up so that they can go down to our friends at St. Vincent. So we really are working with almost every single one of these organizations. We run mostly with volunteers. It takes about 70 volunteers in a perfect world to run a week, our organization. COVID hurt us bad. We are recovering some, but we have about 100 volunteers right now that work with our organization.
Speaking of volunteers, yeah, I'll be back.
All right.
I did it for 2 years, so yeah, I'm
Well,
coming
thank you.
back, yeah. I'm cancer-free now, so I'm coming back. No, I'm
That's awesome.
fine, I'm great.
That's awesome,
yeah.
yes.
So that's,
Yeah. Did you have any questions for Miranda?
no.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Rachel Sweet from the Guidance Center. I am our projects coordinator and grants manager. The Guidance Center is the only community mental health center in the city of Leavenworth. We also serve Atchison and Jefferson counties as well. We see any client regardless of their ability to pay, and we recently opened our doors to our Guiding Lights Crisis Stabilization Center, which is the only volunteer crisis unit in Leavenworth. The Guidance Center provides behavioral health therapy and psychiatric services. This includes outpatient, individual, and family therapy, school-based therapy, case management, attendant care, psychosocial services, crisis services, autism testing, and medication management. We also provide transportation for our clients, and in April, we are going to begin the citywide transportation program. Last year, we served 4,270 clients, and Leavenworth made up 2,701 of those. And we are asking for $19,858, which is 3 months' worth of utilities at our building. I do not work directly with our clients, so I don't have a specific client for a feel-good story, but I have just a lot of great news over the last year. We have been able to add 5 school-based therapists in the community. We have a case manager at the homeless shelter. And the transportation program will be up and running. We also started a medication-assisted treatment program to help with the opioid crisis here. And we had our first patient in the last week, and we're very thrilled about that, and we expect that to grow significantly. Any questions?
Didn't you just move into the Cushing,
Yes.
building?
Yes, Guiding Lights Crisis Stabilization Center is in the Cushing building.
Cool.
All right. Thank you.
I'll accept that as your good news story.
In my head, I was like, would you like me to stand up?
I was like, she might know about our, yeah.
She's basically already covered for all y'all. No.
Since you had the application submitted, I completed our annual report, so I brought copies for you.
Yeah, don't get them mixed up with the others.
Thank you.
Hey, good evening, and thank you for your service to do the due diligence for the city of Leavenworth for this important federal program. I'm Michael Trapp. I'm the Executive Director at the Alliance Against Family Violence. We have a 39-year history in Leavenworth. We are Domestic Violence and Sexual Assault Service Center. So we operate a 24-hour hotline, an emergency shelter, which also serves really as a transitional living facility because many of our program participants exit the shelter into permanent housing. So sometimes we are a non-time limited program, so we work with people as long as we need to. We do try to have some churn and try to move people along because it helps, we're not gonna be able to, in the foreseeable future, add new beds to the shelter so that we can help the most people and have a greater chance of having an open bed when someone needs one by moving people as quickly as we can. But we do take as much time as people need to go through the healing process. A lot of times people come into the program pretty shell-shocked by the immediate trauma of the rape, sexual assault, or abuse that they're undergoing. We serve individuals and families. That mix changes. Sometimes we don't see a lot of kids. Sometimes we see lots of families with kids. Sometimes some pretty good sized families, which can be a challenge for us in the facility that we have. In addition to, we provide crisis intervention, both through telephone and in person. We have support groups, we offer counseling, we offer advocacy services with the police and courts. We have a retired law enforcement officer as our lead advocate who has personal relationships with the law enforcement agencies in Leavenworth County and then a keen understanding of how the criminal justice system and orders of protection work. So we're able to provide those kinds of services to go to court with folks, to sit in on law enforcement interviews. We offer medical advocacy, so sometimes after a rape or sexual assault, people will get a forensic exam where evidence is collected and there's STD testing and other kind of medical dealings that go along with that, and that can be a real long and dehumanizing process. So we have advocates trained to attend those services with that person so that there's someone who's just centered on making sure that they're comfortable and walking that journey with them. We've limited financial support for things like IDs and things that people need in order to get housing. We offer transportation as we are able. We have 13 staff, most of us are full-time, so we are operated by trained staff. Our volunteer program, between when we closed, we had, as many of you or maybe you all know, we closed our doors in 2017, reopened in 2019, and we've not had much of a volunteer program since then. And with COVID, so we have a 40-hour minimum requirement, so it's pretty training heavy to bring in volunteers for client-facing volunteers. So we do use some volunteers who work on the shelter building with, we've gotten a lot of painting and maintenance kinds of things done with volunteers, which is less. We just have to do a training on confidentiality and civil rights policies for those volunteers. So we served 49 individuals with shelter services and 119 people in non-residential services. A bed night is one person in a bed for a night, and we did almost 3,000 residential bed nights in 2022. And then service units, 994 for residential services. That's anything from those kind of ancillary services for finding housing and support groups and whatnot. And then 349 service units for folks in non-residential. We're actively doing a lot of outreach and community involvement. You see me at a lot of events as I'm trying to let people know that the Alliance is back in working order and functioning well. And we're trying to grow our non-residential services because we're space constrained. We're never going to serve significantly more folks residentially until, we would have to complete a capital campaign and build a new facility. But we have a lot of capacity to grow our ability to serve non-residential services. And then we're actively trying to grow our sexual assault services. Almost all of the services we provide are for domestic violence and relationship violence. You know, a feel-good story, the one, you know, lots of them come to mind, you know, when people find out what I do for a living, this is the second time I've worked in a shelter service. People ask, how can you do that kind of work? And really, it's an exciting place. People in crisis are open to change, and there's a lot more firsts. I got my first apartment. This is the first time I got to keep my paycheck. This is the first time I got to decide what I was gonna have for dinner. And so there's lots of firsts, but one person leaps out. She had been abused and trafficked by her partner, and she came into us very pregnant and having some prenatal depression, and she had also had a small child and really struggled with parenting. And we really just wrapped around her and provided a lot of baby holding and helping her, and we helped her find an apartment, and she was not ready, so she had the apartment, but we kept her for another few weeks so that she could be with us when she had the new baby. And it wasn't until, and then it was like a miracle after she had the baby that lifted the depression, and she's been, the other part that the way that we've grown our non-residential services is to stay involved with people post-discharge, to work so that we're not treating trauma, which is more like a chronic illness. It's more like hypertension where it needs ongoing management than it is like a broken leg. But we used to treat it like a hospital. Come to our shelter and then good luck. And so we've kept her embraced and involved with our services, and have seen that she's blossomed into a good mom who lives on her own and is in a safe environment. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Mr. Trapper, I spoke with you when you first came on board, I think last time we had the meeting here and you was present. And I just appreciate you revamping this program, rebooting it. I really do, because it's very much needed here in this community. So thank you for that.
As I said, with a bunch of folks who have had ongoing support in this program, we weren't allowed to apply last year because of where we were at. So we definitely inherited a fixer-upper. I don't think that that's any secret. And as I reflect on where we were a year ago, it's truly night and day. I mean, a year ago, frankly, we were the lowest performing domestic violence center in the state of Kansas. And not only have we moved solidly into the middle of the pack, where we're having, you know, robust outcomes, where we've gotten our certification with the Kansas Domestic and Sexual Violence that accredits agencies that we're providing adequately in all 25 core services, but we're really on the road to excellence. There are some places that we're doing some really cutting-edge sexual assault advocacy with offenders in the Lansing Correctional Facility that's kind of the best in the state, and you've reached a place where you can be proud to know that one of your flagship nonprofits is, I've done trainings at other shelters about, because my background is, I should be working at the Guidance Center if we went by background. And so we work with that. Everybody that we might have one client who doesn't have underlying mental health and substance use disorders. Everyone else that in the 15 months that I've been there has had underlying mental health and substance use disorders, because of trauma drives all of those things. And so I've been training our staff, and even though they don't have, they're not licensed professionals, they have some basic understanding about mental illness and substance use disorder, and we're providing that kind of wraparound support that allows us to have really problematic folks who might have been discharged for rules violations in the past are now sticking with us for a long time, healing their wounds and moving into permanent housing. So thank you. We're doing some really good stuff. I'm really proud of where we're at. It's what a difference a year makes.
Well, note, you gave us two good feel-good stories, the young lady and your program. We appreciate that.
And I would also like to say kudos to you too, Mike, because, you know, it's not just a physical thing, but it's also mental. And for you to revamp that program, to bring that back, that is just awesome. Hats off to you.
Well, it's a great privilege to get paid to help people.
Yeah.
And I bet you all have careers, and then you have to help people in your spare time. And, you know, we're blessed to be able to make a wage for getting to help people, because, you know, a lot of us have that in our heart, and it's something that we need to do. And
Very
so it's
much
a
needed
privilege
service.
to get to have this role in this community, and I'm proud of what the Alliance has been able to accomplish, and excited about what we're going to accomplish in the future. Our request is for $10,000.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you, yes, yes.
Good evening. My name is Richard Martin. I'm the Director of Development for St. Vincent Clinic, and this is Beth Watkins. She's the clinic manager. And I've been with St. Vincent. I took on the role of Director of Development back in the end of June, beginning of July. So I've been there just not about 9 months now. Our request is for $16,000. And as many of you know, we're incredibly grateful for the ongoing and the long support that St. Vincent Clinic, I think St. Vincent has been here for about 36, 37 years in Leavenworth, and has always appreciated the support of the Leavenworth community. Our mission is to improve the health of those in the community that we serve, especially the poor, vulnerable, and those in need. And we can only do it because of the partnership, and as has been mentioned 5 other times today, we work with so many organizations, including everybody here in this room, and others, and I really appreciate how the community of Leavenworth works together to provide those wraparound services, but in an effective and efficient way, to make sure we're not all duplicating and that we're partnering together to specialize in different ways that people need help. 99% of St. Vincent patients are uninsured. We did just recently begin accepting Medicare and Medicaid, so we expect that number to actually drop as we provide services to more people who might not have access to care but do have access to Medicaid and Medicare. Additionally, 27% of our patients last year were unstably housed, and that is a number that has gone up, and we are continuing to see go up as a result of the pandemic. And that's where our work with the Guidance Center is so incredibly important. And she mentioned that Amy Bath, our patient care coordinator, spends time down at the Guidance Center and working with people down there.
Community of Hope, it's fine.
Community of Hope, sorry, yes, sorry. I've got, Guidance Center, Community of Hope, Catholic Charities, everybody. We served just over 300 patients last year, individual patients over the course of the year, primarily focusing on diagnosis and treatment of common acute conditions and injuries. So the basic colds and sniffles and up to more serious things that people come in and don't have a primary care provider to come into St. Vincent. Chronic disease management, which is incredibly important with the population that we serve, because without access to the management for those chronic conditions, they get worse. People that have those conditions often aren't able to seek help until it becomes worse, and then you're adding strain to our healthcare system in addition to causing very real and sometimes irreparable harm to those individuals' lives. And then also preventative care, including flu vaccines and COVID testing. One of the unique services that St. Vincent's able to provide the Leavenworth community is our pharmaceutical assistance program. We were able to provide just under $1 million worth of pharmaceutical medications to the Leavenworth citizens that didn't have access to the medications that they needed. There was almost 200 patients in 2022 that received medications through us. We also continue our trauma-informed care work by one of the things that we do with that is screenings for social determinants of health. Where our patient care coordinator, Amy Beth, reviews, it's a screening to determine non-medical factors that influence health outcomes. And then our patient care coordinator works with those patients and through that screening identifies which awesome community partners to direct those patients to and to connect them with through warm handoffs to make sure that they gain access to the resources that they need, that if they don't have access to those resources, they're just going to come back to our doors with more health issues. And our goal is to prevent those health issues. So we use that screening and our partner relations. We also partner with, in addition to everybody here, some others that we want to highlight are University of St. Mary provides physical therapy services, the Cleveland State chiropractic care, the Guidance Center does one of our mental health care partners, Community of Hope and all of their services, Catholic Charities, etc. And we just really appreciate getting to serve, I echo what you were saying, being able to make a living helping other people is incredibly rewarding, and we're only able to do that because of the support of the community, so thank you. For our hope story, I'm gonna let Beth, who works more closely with the patient, share that.
I'm gonna try to keep it short, but once you said that we needed to share a feel-good story, I was like, ooh, Jackie knows that I love these stories. So I've been the manager over at St. Vincent Clinic since right after COVID, so for about 2 years now. And previously, I had worked at the Alliance for several years. I had worked at Catholic Charities for several years. And when I got over to St. Vincent Clinic, we only had a handful of left full-time employees left after COVID. So one of the things, with case management being strong in my background, that I realized was this patient care coordinator. And it was just so important to be able to screen people when they came into, we're an access point for people who are vulnerable. And to be able to screen them for these social determinants of health so that we can then provide resources out into the community, because their health is their whole, and this is gonna make me like choke up. Okay, I'm not gonna cry.
You're fine.
Not gonna cry. Thinking, so anyway, it's the whole person. And it was very important for me to be able to recognize that each patient that we see, they might be coming in for the first time homeless in many years. And they have all of these other barriers that are getting in the way of getting care. A lot of them don't have transportation to come to our clinic. A lot of them aren't eating, so how can you be healthy if you don't eat? So we had to address these social determinants of health. So the first thing we did is we brought on that patient care coordinator, and we started screening for these things right at the get-go, which helped build trust. And also, our patients have become like family to us, because we go through, it's not just the appointment, we see them almost every week sometimes for their care. So I was thinking about a story to share, and I wanted to kind of highlight the collaboration that we've been talking about with other human service agencies in the community. And St. Vincent is one of 3 clinics that comprise Caritas clinics. So we also have one in Kansas City, Kansas, that's Duchesne, and there's Marion Bentel in Topeka. But what's unique about Leavenworth is that we're such a grassroots community. We don't have the resources that the Kansas City Clinic or Topeka Clinic have. Everything that our patient care coordinator does is the old-fashioned way. It's building relationships, it's going to these meetings, it's forming connections, it's picking up the phone, and trying to find resources on the ground for our patients. And she has done such a wonderful job of connecting us to the community over the past 2 years. And so the story I'm going to share is going to highlight that. A little over a year ago, we got a patient sent to us from the Alliance Against Family Violence. She had finally escaped her abusive husband. She had not been allowed to go to the doctor in over 15 years. She had multiple physical and mental health issues. She was very sick, no medications. She did not trust medical providers. She couldn't even look at us in the eye when she first showed up. And our patient care coordinator took her into her office and sat with her one-on-one, listened to her story, listened to her fears, and then brought in some of our professionals, our healthcare professionals, to come talk to her one-on-one, to introduce her slowly into our practice. She started coming in for regular appointments. She started opening up. She started sharing her stories. We got her connected with the Guidance Center for much-needed behavioral health care. We got her transportation. When she started to get out on her own, we started to provide her with transportation to come in. We referred her to Catholic Charities for food and case management. And it was just, it takes a village, right? The old saying, it takes a village. It takes a Leavenworth is what it took for her. And we become so close with our patients that we don't want to lose them, but we're a safety net clinic. And the definition of a safety net clinic is just that. We are there to temporarily provide them with care until they can get to the next level of their life. And it is our job to empower them to get there. So although we don't want to lose them because they come like family, we know that it's kind of like when you have children, you've got to push them off. And
she got a job, she has health insurance, and because she has health insurance, she's no longer going to be one of our patients. So the day that she called Amy Beth, I think it was about 2 weeks ago, to tell us she's no longer going to be one of our patients, it was a day of tears, it was happy tears, but it was also just this pride that here is a person who came to us a little over a year ago, broken from the Alliance, and she is now able to go work. She has a car, she can drive, she has health insurance, and she's going to be able to take care of herself. So, anyway, that's why I was so chucked up in the beginning, because I was thinking about this woman, and just,
Well, I can see that you actually do care. I can see, and it's passion. I mean, to establish relationship with your clients, that is very important. But yeah, I see. And so you love to hear the good stories and bad stories, but kudos, good, excellent.
And we support you with our own collective tears of joy up here. You don't see it, but I got a soft heart. I'm just not gonna show it right here in front of everybody. Just won't show it up. No, we really appreciate it, and then I know I speak for everybody, what a wonderful story, and, yeah. I'm a better person for having, now I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I take that, and I mean it very seriously. I feel like I individually don't feel like I'm doing enough, so
well,
I'll work on that.
one thing about, I talk about Leavenworth, it is such a generous, just loving community, and this community has empowered us to be able to do what we've done for so long, and you know, we can't thank the community enough, everyone, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's awesome.
Are there any further questions for any of the public service agencies at all? No? Okay, well, it will move into a work session where the board will be able to discuss amongst themselves and then vote on funding. So it appears we have no more questions, so it's not required for you to have to stay.
I'm gonna do like Mike did, hot off the press today is the draft of our,
I'll give these.
Tony hasn't even seen this, so anyway, I only printed two.
Thank you.
I wasn't sure if you wanted to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Heard good things about you, so.
About a core group of people that are really,
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
that legitimately warms my heart.
You're just not doing it for the job.
Here comes the fun part.
I did not want to cut anybody off after we
Oh,
already let
no,
one
absolutely.
public service agency speak. I didn't feel it appropriate to cut anybody else off, so I
Bye, Paul.
just feel the need to make sure that I share that. So I wanted, one of the items in front of you that I've prepared just for the sake of you having some information. So I think my predecessor always offered a little bit of information and somewhat of a charting like this. And also, I have provided additionally a couple of other items in these columns that I felt were important and good information. But just so there's no misunderstanding about what it is, I would just like to explain it. What information are in these columns, and I will make it brief and of course answer any questions. So obviously the first column is the agency name. The second column is the application score of the average of all of the score sheets that came in. And so based upon that next column is the rank of the CDAP app score. So that's their rank, obviously, of what they came in, coinciding to their percentage. The next column is primary thrust of work. It was determined by this board that mental health and healthcare, housing, homelessness, and substance abuse were the three primary thrusts of work that were important and were going to be the agencies that were gonna be given preference in applying. So I wanted to put that in there to align with the agency, what they had marked on their application, that their primary thrust of work was. In total, the next column is percent of their clients that are low income. Next column to that is the percent of their clients that are moderate income. The next column is 2022-23 funded amount. That's the actual current grant year that we're in. That is the amount there that these agencies all received for the 2022 grant year. And what you're gonna be voting on now is the 2023 grant year that will start in July. So that just gives you an idea of what they received last year. So the next one, the 2023-24 request, that's how much that's highlighted in pink. That is how much they are requesting on their application. So you can see everybody is asking for more than what they received. And as you heard the Alliance say, it's 0 on there because they didn't receive funds before, right? And now their request is 10,000. So everybody is asking for more than what they did receive, but I will tell you, we are only going to be able to spend $51,013 on public service agencies. So HUD has informed us and let us know, on February 27th, it was known how much our entitlement was gonna be, and it was, $340,000. So it's about $2,000 more than last year. So the 15% comes to $51,013. So as you can see in that pink column, they're asking for over $30,000 more than what we have to give. Thus bringing the challenge, right?
And that's
So-
not common for us to know this early.
Yeah. Well, they haven't given it to
Yeah.
us yet, but yes, fair. Usually we're still working on projected numbers.
Yeah, we got projected numbers sometimes till the 1st of July.
Sure. So the next column is each agency, what they have put in the application. I pulled this information from their applications, projected annual expenses for the program year, right, that you're gonna be voted on. And then the next column is the percentage. That percentage is the rate of how much they're asking, that they're saying that is the percentage of their expenses for the next program year. So for example, the very first one, CASA, they're asking for 1.7% based upon what's highlighted in pink of what is their projected annual expenses for the program year. So then the very next column there is award potential for discussion purposes only, and I just really want to stress that. This is not my decision. This is your guys' decision as board members. These are your choices and decisions, what agencies you fund, what agencies you don't fund, and how much of the $51,013 are for you to fund. So I simply put together a little bit of information for discussion purposes only. You can discuss it and keep them at that if you want to, that's fine, but that is your decision. I just want to make that clear, this is not the suggestion, okay? And so the column right next to it says -% of ask or as indicated. So here's what I mean by that, just so you know, like, well, you know, where did she come up with any of this? So in regards to number 1, since they ranked number 1, it's whatever they asked minus 28% of what they asked. Still comes in at over $1,000 more than what they got this last year.
Right.
So just, you know, moving on down like St. Vincent's Clinic, it's minus 41% of what they asked. And it would be less than what they received. This is based upon going down the line of them being in ranked order. The only agency that I did not do that with was Catholic Charities. And the reason that I did that is because if you divided the amount of money, the $51,000 that we have, and divided it evenly between the 6 of them, they would each get $8,502. But we don't give more to the agencies than what they ever ask for, because that's not what they're budgeted for. You know, potentially giving an agency more money than what they've asked for could put them in a situation of they can't expend it in that manner, and so we don't do that. So, that was just put together for an idea of how much would be in ranking order. So at this time, it would be good for you all to discuss how you would like to fund and who you would and would not like to fund.
Can we turn this off?
I know, tough job. You guys have a tough job right now. It would be so great to give to everybody, but
Yeah. Well,
I'm here for any questions I could possibly answer. But again, I would not be able to weigh in an opinion.
Well, I don't wanna not fund anybody.
I'm with you. I absolutely believe that if we have the ability, as it sits there on paper to fund at some percentage, all of them, that's my goal. I don't wanna say I'm speaking for everybody, but I don't anticipate any of us wants to take any money out of somebody else's coffer, if you will, and put it in somebody else's, or take all of one agency's money and not fund them at all. That would it just doesn't sit right with me, but like I said, we're all open to discussion, so.
I have sat through this more than once, and it's always pulls at your heartstrings. And we could either go with the divided equally, although some people have rent and utilities, some just have utilities. I mean, I'm here for good of the group.
Yeah, no, I understand that. We appreciate that, Mike.
I mean, how do you decide who's more needy?
You don't.
You don't?
You don't. Just from what they say, you know, everybody, and you read the reports and the good that they do in the city, is that everybody deserves some help. And it seems like economically, right now, everybody's facing a wall that they can't get over. Especially food and rent and.
Yeah, my utilities went up.
Yeah, so I think we should give everybody some, you know, especially the Alliance, you know, they're just getting started, and I think that they are struggling a lot just from what the reports are.
That's exactly what I'm thinking. You know, I mean, you're looking at Catholic Charities. Catholic Charities has quite a few different funding mechanisms, and they're asking for the 7,800. I mean, I would say we give them, you know, 75 or 76 and give the more to the Alliance. You know, at least bump the Alliance up to about 4,000 or 4,500.
But if, on this, where this is divided equally, if we divided everything equal, then everybody would get at least 8,000, which is, seems to me a little bit more fair, because you're not taking too much away from anybody.
But if they give 8,000 to Catholic Charities, they're only asking for 7,800.
Okay, they would just get the 78, though. We're not gonna give them any more. They would, so if there was more to divide, then that would give the other agencies a little bit more.
Yeah.
Would it not?
I see that.
If you subtracted the 78 from the 85?
Just literally taking that additional $700 and spreading it through the other, so it ends up being about.
That's what I would do.
8,700 per, is that about right? 86 something, 8,700 per. I was told there was be no math, so I'm over here.
Because the majority of them is for utilities.
To keep their places open.
Right.
Can I offer just,
Please.
because I've heard it twice now, and I just wanted to make it clear. CASA is asking for rental reimbursements at their facility.
Rental reimbursement.
Interfaith Community of Hope is doing utility reimbursement for their location. Catholic Charities is asking for utility. St. Vincent Clinic is currently asking for utility, but if they end up moving, it would be for rent. And that's also something I want to make sure that we know that when you're voting on, that you know that. Just because of the simple fact that if they do end up moving throughout the year and they haven't expended all their utilities, right? It would be nice that when you vote on this, that you know that that's in place and that that is okay, so I don't have to call you all back to vote on that to amend the contract.
Will they be in two locations?
No.
Or just all their services? Okay.
Yeah, and also the guidance center, it's for their utility reimbursement. Alliance Against Family Violence is utility. Sorry to interrupt, just wanted to
No,
clear
you're
that
fine.
up.
We appreciate your input,
Yeah.
and I definitely, to kind of echo what we were talking about, I, again, would like to make sure if we have that capability, based on the Catholic Charities, at this point, receiving that full ask, take whatever remains and add it to that 8502. If that's what we end up doing, that's something I would, because like she said with the Alliance, and it just is a much smaller percentage, and I think if we're able to close that gap with the other, what we provide the other ones.
So
Tell me what the math looks like, or you can tell
Sure,
us.
yeah, I've been kind of messing with it while you guys have been talking. So if you evenly divided it, $8,502.17 between all 6 of them, but not give Catholic Charities more than what they're asking, that would leave $702. So dividing that by 5 is $140. So, whoops. So you got $140 plus 8502. That comes to approximately $8,642 each, with the exception of Catholic Charities. They would cap out at their ask of $7,800 if you went that way.
Sounds
So
good
I'd
to
like
me.
to go. Sounds good to me.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
That's one way to do it. It's acceptable for me.
That's very
I mean, it's
acceptable.
fair, you know, well, maybe.
Maybe I shouldn't have asked for those fuel to start. No, I'm kidding, man. I'm glad I did.
So I guess we need a motion.
Yeah. So are you prepared to ask for a motion?
That's, if you guys are done discussing and you feel like it's good enough to vote on, that would,
I can't take your thumbs up.
what I hear you saying is it's approximately, and I might be off by some pennies, okay, because I was just quickly doing this,
Sure.
$8,642 for each agency, with the exception of Catholic Charities, at their max ask of $7,800.
We trust the maths. Do I have a motion to vote on approval of the award?
I move to approve that award level.
That award level.
Yeah.
Do I have a second?
I second it.
All in favor by name and say aye.
Mary Mack, aye.
Charles Davis, aye.
Ralph Taylor, aye.
Sister Paula Rose, aye.
Mike Seifert, aye.
Motion carries. Throw it back to you, young lady.
Yeah, I'll be brief with the next things that I have to share with you here. So just wanted to say, now that you guys have all done the scoring and looked at the score sheet that was there, please feel free to email me and throw in an opinion and say, you know what, I would like a different question next year, or I would like a little bit more information on this to come up with your aggregate scores. I know of a couple of things that I want to change, just because I think they're more pertinent, just like the aggregate sheet that I gave you. A little bit more information, I think, that will help you make a decision in scoring, so please feel free to reach out to me.
Well, you know, it seems like all of that information that we ask them for, like their audits and finance, you know, that's important, but really it's the community services that I'm more interested in. What are you doing with your money and who are you serving? And I would weigh it heavier all of that is there. They just have to copy it year after year because it's what their agency has to have for taxes and everything else. But the services are what we really are interested in helping people in our city. So I would be more interested if the questionnaire had a lot more to do with what you serve and how you take care of people and what kind of money besides rent that goes to taking care of who you are and what you do for Leavenworth. If that makes sense.
Definitely, Sister Caller Rose, I agree with you, and I will work on that so that we have more information specifically to ask on the application for that. I also would like to make sure next year, following up with that, just to coincide with that, that will complement what you're asking, is to make sure that we're having them tell us how many Leavenworth citizens that they're helping. Because these funds are supposed to go, they're entitlement funds given to Leavenworth City to be spent on Leavenworth City residents. And so, while it's very wonderful that all these agencies do help other people who might be somewhere else in the county or even maybe just, newly relocate here, what have you, if they haven't quite made residency here yet, is great. The truth of the matter is the statistical data sheets that they turn into me do have to be that. And so I can work on that because I think some of the things I want will complement what you're asking for.
Can I comment now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that was more of my concern when I looked through the package, is that the measurable items, how do we know we're impacting what we're impacting with the funds that we have? And I don't know what I don't know, so if I have a matrix or something that I can look at that'll clear that up for me would be easier for me to be able to gauge. And it's actually one of the questions in section 2 and also in the bottom section in performance measures. So what are those matrix that you're using that stands out? And then some of them have it, but the majority of them didn't have an impact on
Outcomes.
what their agency is doing. So as we're giving them the funding, there is a measure that we can have to show us what it is that we're doing with the money.
See, we take care of their rent and their utilities, and so hopefully you have money left, you have other monies that you're gonna use, because we're paying part of your
There you
rent.
go.
Then tell me what you're doing with the money that you're saving.
What's the impact? There you go. There you go.
What are they leveraging?
Yeah.
What are they leveraging? You're wanting to know what they're leveraging. Okay.
Yeah.
Those are some really good specific questions that we can definitely work on. No problem. We can do that. Is there anything else about that? Okay, well, if you change your mind or you want to add something, just let me know. I will be quick. Was considering asking you to vote on bumping up the amount that we could spend on the home repair program. I'm not gonna ask that at this meeting, but I am probably going to ask it at the next meeting, hoping to arm you with a little bit further information. One of the things that I gave you is information about radon. And I could read through all of it right now to you, but I will not do that to you. I did highlight a few things just to kind of get you going about what's important here. So the entire county of Leavenworth, let alone the city, is in zone 1 for radon. There is a listening session that HUD is presenting and putting on Monday, March 20th, that I'll be listening to, because they are going to be wanting public comment also until approximately April 10th, I believe, in regards to making it mandatory for radon testing and mitigation to be done on how it affects us here in Leavenworth in our programs. It would affect our home repair program, making it mandatory that testing was done and mitigation done. So therefore, it would cause that in itself a little bit more of a need to raise the amount when the repairs are not emergent. So just wanted to give you a heads up so that when I do end up bringing up the radon in April, you guys are aware of what it is. I gave you the information, and I just wanted to share that with you. Just to let you, and I'll let you know what came of the listening session, but it does appear to me that it is something that is gonna end up becoming mandatory, and it is the safest and healthiest thing that we, could be doing. So I do think it is the right thing to do. Tomorrow, I'll be, just to let you know, also I'll be putting on a home ownership presentation to Keller Williams with some local realtors. And I believe there's gonna be at least 2 lenders there, so that'll kind of help promote that, and which that will be a good thing. So that was all I have for the moment. And if anybody else has anything.
For the next meeting, I'll be out of town working.
Okay.
That April meeting, so I just wanted to let you all know now, since I know.
Okay.
Are we in the position where if needed, he could, Zoom in or call in?
Yeah, I can work with Melissa Bowers
that's
on that if you would
something
like
that's
to
a
do that.
possibility.
Let me validate the time,
Yeah.
if I'm on the day or night shift, and then based off of that, then I can be.
Let us know.
Yes, sir. Yes,
We'd
sir.
I'll
love
be
to
on
have you.
vacation.
Might fall into that, not being available to be in Leavenworth.
Yeah, I'll be on vacation.
Well, you can be
that
on
time, too.
vacation right here.
Well, vacations, you need to plan better.
Vacation, that phone call.
We'll definitely, no problem. Just let me know closer to the time, and then we will
Yeah, my next
have our
meeting's
public
next
information officer help us with that. So the 2023 annual action plan is posted. It's up on the city's website. It is at the public library, and there's a printed copy in community development, and the
We'll talk
approval
later.
or
You'd be
disapproval
amazed how these
of
people-
it with a public hearing is what will be happening in April.
Indifferent.
Yeah, and so it probably won't be as long unless you have further questions. This was the hardest part to get through, I think, with that, so.
Before we adjourn, I wanted to publicly thank you for the work that you do. I know I know you're a paid staff, but I know you go above and beyond, and we appreciate that. And I know that the folks
Thank you.
that sat behind you today, you champion their cause, you support, defend, so I don't think we could ask for a better liaison between you and the community, so I appreciate that.
Thank you very much, I appreciate that.
I read it all. I copied and pasted from something else. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
That was great.
I make a motion that we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor to adjourn, say aye, beginning on the
Tony
end.
Majors, aye.
Gary Mack, aye.
Charles Davis, aye.
Ralph Taylor, aye?
Sister Paula Rose, aye.
Mike Seifert, aye.
We are adjourned.